What's up, guys? That's a Furious Pete greeting, by the way. That's where I got that. If you haven't already, you should check out Furious Pete on YouTube. Anyways, this is the surprise box that just got here via Federal Express a couple of minutes ago. And this is going to go on the Motorized bike project. Are there any guesses? So let's go ahead and crack it open and see what we have here. Does anybody know yet? This is a torque converter for our motorized bike. This is the plastic cover. Let's set that aside. We've got our belt. We've got our main assembly here with the plate and the driven secondary clutch, the driven disc there, and then our little sprocket down in there. We're going to be getting rid of that though because I want to keep this belt drive, so we're going to replace that sprocket with a pulley, a bag of hardware. We'll likely be replacing all of that with grade 8 fasteners. And what else do we have here? We have our driven disc, our driver disc, driver clutch, and this was supposed to come with a free centrifugal clutch, but it looks like it did not, so I'll be sending an email on that. For $2 less than the other kits, so most kits are $62, but for $2 less, for $60 and some change, you get a free centrifugal clutch. So I'll send him an email and I'll get that sent here. I don't really have a project for it at the moment, but might as well have it. Alright, let's lay this all out here, and I'll kind of tell you my plan. So, we can take this nut off and remove our secondary driven clutch. Just remember the order things go here. And my plan is, and this is also supposed to come with a second sprocket, but it doesn't. So, interesting. This, what is this, a 12 tooth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tooth. So it comes with a 10 tooth sprocket, in my case. What my plan is to take, this won't necessarily be the size, but this is just a 3/4 bore pulley. And I'm going to go uptown to my hardware store and get a 5/8 bore, because that's what this shaft is 5/8. And that will slide neatly onto there. And what we might end up with is not enough clearance to get our driven clutch back on. I'll show you what I mean there. So we need more clearance there. What I think I'm going to do, if my Tractor Supply doesn't have just a pulley with a set screw, I'll just make it. I'll just cut this off, and I'll make a video on that. I'll cut off this hub, is what I'd call it, and then drill and tap a hole for a set screw right in the middle of the pulley. And then we'll take that to the wire wheel and smooth it out so it doesn't damage our belt at all. But that's the plan. It's going to stay belt drive, but due to lack of torque, and hopefully I've mentioned that in the last video, so far the bike needs to be rejetted with that carburetor, which isn't a big deal. I can order a couple jets and experiment with that. I can't get all the way into the throttle, but even with that, it just lacks torque. It goes about 30 or 35 miles an hour, which is pretty impressive with a third throttle, so like 30% throttle. But I've got to push it for probably 25 feet to get it moving, and then it takes me about a block or 2 blocks to get up to speed, so not ideal. So that's why I'm going this route. So let me turn the camera around. I'll take you over to the bike and we'll take the old clutch off and get this bolted up to the engine. Alright, here we are now, back at the bike, and what I'm going to do, I did add a second bolt with bearings up on top, and I should preface this whole process by saying I think you would be okay the way it is. It's just fine. There's a couple things you could do to run it this way, and I really do like the simple look of things the way they are, and so it's a shame that I can't keep it, but if you were going to keep it this way, a few things you could do is keep your pedals and your chain set up, and then what you could do is just use it as an assist. You could pedal up to speed or up to 10 or so miles an hour from a stop sign, and that would take care of the majority of the torque issue, or you could help it up hills and things like that. So that's one thing you could do. Something else you could do is upgrade the springs in your clutch and allow it to engage sooner. So what that would mean is I don't need to rev it up as high to get the belt spinning. I think it would be a weaker spring is what that would be, so that those shoes can kick out in the clutch drum sooner and engage the belt sooner and hopefully get you up to speed quicker. One other thing you could do is a bigger pulley on the rear wheel. I went with a 16, which is the biggest they had on hand, but I would imagine if you searched online or asked your local Tractor Supply for more like an 18-inch or maybe even a 20, you may have to add just a second tensioner or cut your fender way down in order to fit that, because it's now going to be a lot bigger. But that's something you could experiment with too, to keep this design. But what I'm going to do, since we've got it here, is show you how to install your torque converter. So let me step over and grab the first couple things we're going to need are a 1/2-inch wrench to remove our tensioner bolts, and I think it's a 5/32 hex key or Allen wrench to remove our clutch. So let me step over and grab some tools. You can see I've got my sweatpants and house slippers on. It's casual Friday here at the shop, and I'll show you what I ended up with for the final setup on these tensioners if you are going to keep this design. And who knows, I might end up switching back to this. We'll see. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, trying out different things. But here's what I ended up with for this tensioner. It's really simple. So 2 bearings, either skateboard bearings or the same as a scooter, like a Razor scooter. And I just went with actually an 1.5 inch bolt, I think. This one's a little short, but the next bolt up is better, and I'll show you that one. So you've got a washer, then a bearing, then a washer, then a bearing, then a washer. So you just alternate, and that seems to fit perfectly, spaced perfectly for the belt to ride on. So that's what I would recommend there. Hopefully I'm in frame there. Alright, so we got one of those off. And I'm going to keep all of these parts in a box if I go back to this design. And something else I wanted to mention is once I get this totally perfected, I'm considering putting together kits for sale. What that would be is either with or without the engine, I haven't decided, with these parts, the aftermarket parts like the carburetor, the exhaust, and the main thing that it would end up being is having this engine mounting plate welded in the right place. So I would have one bike and I would fit everything to that. I'd have that, and I would have things like I would include the pulley and the clutch and your foot pegs. What I probably wouldn't do is any like the special modifications I have, like the bars are modified. That stuff took a lot of time, and I don't know if I could produce quick enough on that stuff, or the laid back seat post. But I could consider making like tutorials on how to do that. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in, let me know, and I am considering it. I also, if you've noticed, one other difference from the last video is I've started to add where my mock tank is going to go. I had these threaded studs, I think they're 3-inch or 2.5-inch. I had these from years ago when I was first working on the bike. And then some square nuts, some copper lock washers, and some brass wing nuts. And I just drilled through the frame in 3 spots, 1 spot down here, and I'm still working on this portion, but that's going to have that mock sheet metal tank that I've mentioned in previous videos with that cardboard piece that I had already made. It looks like it's an 1/8 inch. I was wrong about the 5/32. 1/8 inch hex key. Okay, that'll just slide off. And we're going to end up with quite a bit shorter belt, as you can imagine. So it's too bad I bought this belt for like 30 bucks, but there was no way to know. Just kind of guessing with gear ratios and what's going to work. I think I'll just have enough slack to get this off. I got to step in front of the camera for a second. Yep, there we go. So for now, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to push this belt down out of the way. So that's it as far as disassembly. Now I'm anxious to see how this is going to fit. And if any of you smarties have noticed or have tried this for yourself or done some looking, these torque converter kits only come in 3/4 or 1 inch. And that's an issue because this is a 5/8 shaft. But I'm waiting on the mail, and this was supposed to come yesterday, but the way I'm going to get away with that is I got an adapter sleeve, a 3-inch long, which should be about right, 3-inch long by 5/8 to 3/4 adapter sleeve. So it's going to adapt our crankshaft from 5/8 to 3/4, and it comes with an extended key to fit into the keyway. So that's what I did there. And I don't have that yet, as I said. It was supposed to come yesterday, and it didn't come, so we'll see what the deal is. Okay, first fit. Let's see what kind of issues we're going to run into. So, right off the bat, it looks like this portion is right about where our frame is at. But that's okay, don't get discouraged. It's all about modification here. One thing I need to take a look at is I had envisioned that the output where it used to be right against the engine, I think what it's trying to do is keep that in the same spot with your output of the torque converter. So if you're looking in a straight line, if this is our engine, it's going to be in the same location with our output. So we're not going to want to space this out at all. So somehow we're going to have to modify our frame and bring it in and back out is what I'm thinking. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just kind of looking at this for the first time with you guys. So I will definitely come back and show you what I had to do to make this fit. But other than that, I think once we're in place, we're going to clear the back tire, so that's good news. And I'm trying to look at mounting holes If possible, I'd like to mount it level, just like that, parallel to the ground. And so we're just going to have to kind of notch the frame. Yeah. Let me bring you in closer and show you this. By the way, let me know how you like the new camera if you've been following along with the series. Okay, so we're looking straight down on it. I need to go in, and I'm trying to hold it level here. I need to go in about 1.5 or 2 inches. And you can see I've just barely got to notch the down tube back here. And what I'll probably do, we don't want to sacrifice any strength in that area. I'll notch it, and then I'll bend a piece of pipe, or a piece of pipe that matches my notch, and fill it in there and weld it in place to maintain our strength in that area. So this is going to be sweet though. Yeah, I think that'll fit pretty nice just under our exhaust there. It's hard to really tell if the mounting holes are going to line up in that location, but they give you 3 sets of mounting holes. Sorry, I was looking down there. They give you 3 sets of mounting holes, so you can either mount it level, or you can go up a little bit or down a little bit. So that's going to be nice. The last thing I wanted to show you on today's video is, if I can mock this up, let me set you back down over here. Sorry to make you dizzy. Okay, so one thing that's going to be nice is, let me turn the bike so you can see it straight on. If you remember, the motor sticks out quite a bit to this side, and we had to do that to keep our belt tracking in a straight line. But what's going to be nice now is our cover's going to stick out almost an equal amount. And so that's really going to make the engine much more symmetrical in the frame. And it'll also keep my leg out from touching this exhaust. So it'll be resting on this plastic versus the exhaust. So that's what I've got for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will get this put together and show you what I had to do. Otherwise, if you have any questions, ask in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video.